Hey guys, it's Neal B, and we are here with the fantastic and fabulous Alex McCord and Simon Van Camp from the Real Housewives of New York. So first of all, you guys have a brand new book out. So can you tell us a little bit about the book?
Little Kids Big City is a he said, she said that we wrote together, and it is a story about the good, the bad, the ugly, the gross, the disgusting, the things that make you want to set your hair on fire when you choose to have children.
But it's not just about our children, it's about our life as well. It talks about how, when we first got together, we were never going to have children. But then we changed our minds, and we're so glad we did.
So what made you decide to write the book? Because it's such a great book, and I think that a lot of people, as you can see, are going to love it. So what was the process like as well?
I actually started writing down the stories right after our first son was born, just back in 2003, 2004. And when you come from the perspective, as we did, that you don't grow up thinking that you'll have children, every moment is sort of an, I can't believe this is happening to me sort of thing, even though we read and researched everything that we could prior to the births. So I started to write down our stories, initially just for the boys and for us to have when they grew older, as sort of a memoir of our life. And I kept that up. Along the way, there was a time when somebody wanted to publish it, and then in the end, it didn't really happen. But then after the show had started airing, a literary agent approached us and said that they loved both our blogs, they thought we wrote very well, and if we were going to write a book, what would we write about?
And let's face it, in season 1 of the show, our boys were such a big storyline. We learned that if they misbehaved for 2 minutes, that was the 2 minutes that was guaranteed to make it to air.
Exactly.
So it sort of freed us to talk about the truth of having kids, where, it is the most immensely rewarding experience, but it can be frustrating as well. And so we laid it all out there, didn't we?
We did.
I was going to say, what was the hardest part writing the book, especially you have so much going on? Was it hard to really find the time to sit down and write it?
The hardest part of writing the book was getting him to fill in his parts. I was very much the project manager, and I would tell him, okay, I need 2,000 words about bedtime, and I need it now.
She would crack the whip, and I would go, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am. But the weirdest part about writing it was after we'd written the whole book, we spent a whole weekend proofreading it to ourselves by reading it aloud to each other. So that was to make sure that the book sounded properly, because we wrote it, we didn't use a ghostwriter, and it was very important that it sounded as if it was written by us and came from our words. And we also wanted to make sure that we didn't duplicate too many stories.
Right.
How long did it take you to write from start to finish?
Well, as I said, we had quite a lot of material going in, but it was about 3 months of constant, a couple of hours a day
But
work.
if we brought that down to, it's probably 3 or 4 weeks of full-time work if you compressed it into one time period, but it was over a 3 or 4 month period.
That's great. Now, getting back to Real Housewives on that. Jill, do you still speak to Jill?
What you saw at the reunion special is exactly where it is right now.
Okay.
I put it this way, we were in the Hamptons 3 weekends ago, and it just turned out that Jill was at the same party we were at. And Jill stayed on that side of the room, and Alex stayed on that side of the room, and there between shall meet.
Wow, interesting on there, because sometimes it's so hard to know with editing and different things what gets left out and what doesn't on there.
Put it to you this way. We've learned that when we are filming, we need to engage with one another. When we are not filming, as we were not at this party, there was no reason to talk to one another, and so we didn't.
I was going to say too, with the shooting schedule being so rigorous, is it so hard with your kids and doing everything that you are, especially first season, coming in and having the cameras follow you? What was that like initially to have, everything really out there?
They don't shoot 24/7, and it's only by appointment. It's actually less than you would think. It's not a Big Brother situation, and I would say that we feel now that the least crazy time of the year is when we're shooting, because they're following us in our real life.
Look, season 1 was a little bit different, perhaps. We were not knowledgeable about the whole process of filming reality TV. Also, Alex was working 60 hours a week, as was I at the time. We had a 1-year-old son and a 3-year-old son. And, Alex didn't have 2 hours a day to spend doing her hair, and so, then she was criticized because her hair wasn't perfect all the time.
No, I know.
But this is reality TV. It's not, the desperate housewives who have a big caravan outside, where they can have, people making them up with their hair and so on, as you do get to know now, thanks to a few people in As Return.
Exactly.
And also, I wanted to ask, next season, are you guys coming back? What's going on next season?
No one knows anything about the next season yet.
Oh, I'm keeping my fingers crossed because, it's always so great to watch, and really, I'm such a huge fan. And it's great to have you guys here. We thank you for spending time with us.
Thank you very much.